And we are live. And welcome back to the 39th edition of On the Sofa. And have we got a show for you? It's going to be it's going to be awesome. Later I'm going to be introducing you to my new co-host. He's going to be coming a bit later. He's just got to do a few things. He's got to get himself sorted, and then he's going to be joining us a bit later. And new co-host, very exciting. And we've got a few people in the chat already. We've got Godless Sewing, we've got Robert X, we've got Greg, and that seems to be it for now. So hello to everyone watching, and hello to everyone watching on Twitter as well, because we're also broadcasting on Twitter. Hopefully, if this is if it's working, it seems to be, yes. So yeah, good. And we got Godless Gummer. Ahoy, he's saying. Brilliant, welcome. So without further ado, I think we'll start off with Tory twats. And hello. Our first Tory twat, we've got to talk about Boris Johnson. Obviously, Partygate. Partygate is not going anywhere. He finally had to confess to being at a party, and it didn't go well for him. Hang on, let me bring up the story. Right. Well, I've lost. Here we go. So Boris Johnson and Carrie Johnson attended Bring Your Own Booze event in Number 10 Garden during the first coronavirus lockdown, according to Sky News. You know that a prime minister is in trouble when Rupert Murdoch starts criticizing them. the shit's about to hit the fan, and when the Murdoch press turn on the Tories, it's not good. Yeah, you're right, Godless. We need to talk about Jacob Rees-Mogg as well. But perhaps you could enlighten us. Exactly. What has he done? Because I saw glimpses of it on Twitter, but I didn't get a time. I didn't get a chance to really look that deeply into it. So what has he been doing? I take it he's been defending Johnson, has he? Let me know. The families of those who have died during the coronavirus pandemic react with fury at the new revelations in the Number 10 Partygate row, with one woman describing how Downing Street drinks gathering was held on the same day her father's death certificate was signed. Oh, thanks, Robert. Like, share, thumbs up, and or subscribe to Black Sofa. Don't do it later. Do it now. Hit that like button and bell. Thank you. Thank Thank you for the plug there. And yeah, Godless Scum is saying the timing of his statement this morning suggests that if Boris broke the rules, then the rules were wrong to begin with. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Typical Jacob Rees-Mogg. Yeah. Solve the pros. Yes. Yeah. He's a nasty piece of work. I really don't like him. But anyway, so yeah, so obviously Boris Johnson was questioned about it in PMQs, but at the head of PMQs, he gave a non-apology basically. He didn't really apologize properly. He kind of and we've got my co-host, Mr. Armitage Brain Sample. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, I have had better days, but I'm not bad. How are you?
Yeah. Mustn't grumble. Can't complain.
Good.
It's been a long time since we've actually spoken.
I know. I was thinking the same thing when I sent you that DM. I was like, man, we haven't actually talked to each other in like months.
Yeah, I mean, we've interacted on Twitter.
Yeah.
But we haven't actually spoken to each other on a live stream like this for ages.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I can't think of when it was even.
Yeah, before the pandemic, even, I think.
Oh, I was thinking it was an after party.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
maybe with Neil or something. I don't remember.
Anyway, I think everyone in the side chat is familiar with who you are, but just in case someone doesn't know you, who are you and what do you do?
I stir the pot. You were looking at Twitter in the last, 45 minutes. You might have noticed that.
No, I missed that.
I got blocked by 3 people in 15 minutes.
Well, that's got to be a world record.
Well, I don't know about all that, but it's certainly the most I've had in a good long while. I haven't. It's been a while since I pissed off that many people that much. But if you say something sufficiently stupid, I kind of can't help myself. Like I am definitely a member of the army that stands in opposition to stupid. I have zero fucking tolerance for stupid. You can be ignorant all you want to, but if your parents were cousins and you're a moron, I got nothing for you. I guess I'm just a pain in the ass, smart ass online person.
Brilliant.
I'm one of those people that a lot more people know my name than have any clue who I am.
Fair enough.
And you'll excuse the dogs; they just got fed and they're doing that.
Yeah, doing what dogs do, I guess.
The beauties of having a puppy. Okay, that's loud. The next thing she's gonna do is cry. Hey, come here, big dog.
So
you don't need to kill her.
Oh. So are you familiar with On the Sofa? I think I've seen the side chat a couple of times.
Yeah, I believe that's my familiarity.
Yeah. So we basically chat about politics, mainly British politics, to be fair. But sometimes we touch on American politics as well.
Yeah, in fact, the last person to block me was a British person who apparently was a fan of Trump.
All right. Okay.
Because that didn't go smoothly. I made a comment that about half of America was so pissed off that we had a black president that they were willing to vote for Trump.
Right.
And he thought that was just moronic. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you not realize just how fucking racist this country is?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty fucking racist. I mean, Not all blatantly racist like the last president was, but
it's still a thing, isn't it? Let's face
it. There's enough stupid in this country to keep that shit alive for a good long while yet.
Unfortunately, this country, there's a lot of racism in this country as well, sadly.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons we are in the situation we're currently in with Brexit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's the same thing. If you were to make the comment that we voted for Brexit because roughly half of us are so bigoted that we couldn't stop ourselves from doing it, that might piss some people off, but chances are it's accurate.
Yes. Yeah. Godless Gummer, he was hang on, let's see if I can bring his comment up here. He's talking about Jacob Rees-Mogg. Are you familiar with Mr. Rees-Mogg?
I am familiar with the name. I don't know why.
He's one of our members of parliament.
Okay.
And he's basically a posh, tough, born to rule kind of person. Went to Eton, Oxford, all the rest of it.
They're the ruling class.
Yeah, basically, his aristocracy, and down with the plebs, and
it's weird. I just coincidentally, I was watching a documentary last night about the inbreeding of the royals, and how some of the worst parts of what it means to have been inbred still exist several generations after most of the inbreeding stopped because it was so committed before.
Yeah.
I was vaguely aware of most of what I heard, but there were some doozies in there that I wasn't aware of.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, basically, he was saying, Jeff was saying that Jacob Rees-Mogg made a statement in the House of Commons today, saying that basically, if Boris Johnson broke the rules, then the rules were wrong to begin with. And he goes on to say, the thing is, I don't care what anyone's political affiliations are right now. Anyone who's still supporting Boris at this point is defending the indefensible. And Godless Owen is saying Americans are racist. I'm shocked.
Not all of us, just about half. Like even in my own family, my parents both, but my brother and I, not at all. Somehow we managed to escape that shit. It's fairly easy. When my parents went to college, there weren't a lot of black folks attending college, and there were none. It's kind of funny. There were no black people in the town my mom lived in. There still aren't black people in the town my dad grew up in. So all of their yearbooks are just completely black and white. Literally, there is nothing but white people in the whole fucking thing. And then my parents' college yearbooks are fairly similar, except for the athletes. There's quite a few more black people involved in the academics than just sports, but as far as their yearbooks were concerned, they were fairly committed to just the athletes. And I know there were no black professors in the 60s at the schools that they went to. I went to the same university that my dad went to.
All right. Well,
and where his dad went.
Well, I was brought up in the Kentish countryside. Are you familiar with the county of Kent? Where it is?
Not where it is, no.
It's known as the Garden of England.
What I'm aware of is what I picture is meadows. Is it meadowy?
Yeah, well, meadowy and orchardy, and East Peckham.
There's a little rolly. Topography, a little. Okay, I'm thinking of the right place.
East Peckham is the village where I was brought up, and it's famous for hops.
Right on.
Hops and apples.
I'm drinking a extra IPA right now.
Nice. Anyway, it's Kent is Tory conservative heartland, basically. And it's when I was growing up, it was basically a sea of white faces, and not much has changed.
Yeah, I grew up in Mike Pence country, so you can imagine what most of my life has been like. But I have been around infinitely more people that aren't like me than either of my parents ever were, and the same is true for my brother.
Okay.
So it was one of my best friends starting in the 3rd grade was the token black kid in my elementary school, well, in my class at the elementary school, and never thought anything of the fact that he was black. It just didn't mean anything to me. Even as I watched my dad yell horrible things at the TV when he was watching sports, it didn't even register that he was talking about people like Lonnie.
Right. Yeah.
Which mostly he wasn't, because Lonnie's parents are both college educated. One of them was a college professor. The other was a high school teacher. So it's not the kind of people that he would necessarily have a problem with, aside from the fact that he wouldn't know any of that shit because he'd be mad about who they were before he ever got a chance to find out what they were.
Greg is asking if Sandwich is in Kent. I think it is, actually.
My only familiarity with most of the UK comes from watching hours and hours and hours of Time Team.
Oh, right, okay.
I think I've watched almost every episode of Time Team, at least the ones that are available on YouTube.
Right.
I used to fall asleep watching, when I had cable, I used to fall asleep watching the History Channel, and now I fall asleep watching Time Team.
Oh, right, okay.
That's the first time he's ever barked at her. It's funny.
Yeah.
Nice timing, asshole.
Godless Gummer is saying, for context, Rees-Mogg told MPs today that the COVID-19 inquiry must consider if all those regulations were proportionate. He went on to say that the rules were very hard to obey. Oh yeah, so difficult to obey. Yeah. All they had to do, but basically, the story of Partygate is this. Last year, May, I think it was, everyone was in lockdown here in the UK, and we were told that we weren't allowed to have parties. We were supposed to socially distance, stay at home,
right?
All that stuff. But while everyone else was staying at home, and they weren't able to to have parties or go to their parents' homes or anything. These Boris Johnson and his fellow MPs were partying, having parties, and at first Boris Johnson said, I don't even know if there was a party, and if there was, I've been assured that all the regulations were followed, and all the guidance was.
But I don't know if there were any. But if there were, I have been assured.
But then he
sounds like some stupid shit that Trump would say, not realizing that it was an obvious lie.
Yeah. But then he said, well, there was a party, and I'm outraged, and those involved, should apologize, but I wasn't there. I wasn't at any of these parties, but then a photo emerged of him at a party at number 10 Downing Street in the garden. There was at least 14 or 15 people, enjoying wine and cheese. and he was there too, and so he's finally had to admit in the House of Commons that he was, but then he said, oh, I wasn't aware that it was a party. We often.
I was going to say, therein lies the difference between Boris and Trump. That Boris would actually succumb to the admission that he had lied. There's no way you could ever convince Trump to do that. In fact, he did an interview, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, with American National Public Radio. And it wasn't a live interview, which he apparently wasn't aware of when he joined the interview online in the first place, which is an odd thing to not know going into it. But, we'll figure it out when we get there. But he was confronted with the lies he's been telling about the election and that it was stolen, because he continues to fucking say that. And he's like, oh, you wouldn't believe the things that they are finding, blah, 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 blah. And we all know that nobody found anything.
No.
Because there was nothing to be found. It was all bullshit from Jump Street. And he, rather than make any kind of admission, he hung up. He just hung up. He didn't say goodbye or thanks for the chance to speak, or just hung up. The interviewer is left on the phone. He starts to ask a question, and then obviously somebody in the booth says he's gone, and he goes, oh, he's hung up. Okay, great. Fuck. Can't believe that our motherfucker got your motherfucker elected just because the same dumb motherfuckers exist in both countries.
Yeah.
And apparently the same motherfuckers live in Brazil.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, they're cutting down trees like it's 1985 again. That's a good idea. Do more of that. It's been working great for the rest of the world. Keep cutting down the Amazon, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's just the lungs of the planet. We don't need it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hey ho. But every Wednesday, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but every Wednesday we have Prime Minister's questions, where
did not know that.
The members of Parliament get to ask the Prime Minister questions, basically. Usually starting with the leader of the opposition party, the leader of the Labour Party in this case. The Labour Party being the equivalent to the Democrats.
Yeah, who is the leader of the party now?
Keir Starmer.
Yep.
Have you heard of him?
I know I didn't know that name.
No.
No, that name's not familiar to me at all, actually.
That's the problem with Keir Starmer. He wasn't even here in this country, people hadn't heard of him, and so he struggled to begin with as the new Labour leader. He struggled in the polls, because people just didn't know who he was. But I think he's overcome that now. I think he's people are beginning to be aware of him, and they're getting to know him, and his approval rating is going up now. But anyway, he and just about everyone else were calling on Boris Johnson to resign on Wednesday. And but of course he's not going to.
Yeah.
Because he's a sociopath.
Well, he has the ego of what was the mayor of Toronto, Ford, like the crackhead that kept running for office even after getting caught with a hooker and smoking crack. That guy, it's the same fucking attitude. I am above reproach. Ask anybody how fucking popular I am. There used to be a mayor in Washington, D.C. that had almost the exact same thing happen. He got busted doing cocaine off the tits of a hooker in a hotel. And then he resigns from the office and then runs for office again the next election and fucking wins.
Oh my days.
Son of a bitch.
How does that happen? How?
Well, Washington D.C. is a very fucked up city.
Yeah.
And they have a city council and a mayor, and every other decision that's made, their budget and everything else is set by the federal government. So it's kind of a do nothing fucking job because the federal government is seated there. You don't really have much to do. They're going to give you this much money and they're going to tell you how to spend it. So really, you're just kind of a figurehead.
Okay.
Which is good because the guy was a fucking crackhead. But the bad news is that DC has no representation in Congress. 0. 1.3 million people utterly unrepresented in federal government.
I've heard that some people are calling for DC to become a state.
It should have been done a long time ago, or it should have been made part of either Virginia or Maryland. Okay. The idea going into it was that it wouldn't be part of the state, so it wouldn't be held in as part of the control of whatever state it was in. But that's a thing you worry about when the country might go to civil war. Granted, there's an off chance that could happen, but not a very good one. I mean, civil war in this country would last about 15 minutes. The military is not going to fight against other members of the military. They're going to fight against the people that are attacking the country. So good luck, assholes.
Anyway, I think we've talked enough about Boris Johnson.
He does have nice hair.
Doesn't he just?
The contrast between his hair and Trump's hair, considering the personalities that are underneath both of their heads of hair, it's astonishing.
Yeah, exactly.
It does kind of explain why Trump needs so much hairspray and Boris doesn't use any.
Yeah. But the next news item, apparently, according to the Daily Mail, 3 lateral flow tests are to be axed in weeks. Because up until now, lateral flow tests have been free. But the Tories are gonna, they want to ditch this. They apparently Boris Johnson is going to announce this measure to ditch the free tests weeks from now. This is all part of the Tories' idea that we should just live with the virus now.
Well, they're trying to sell the NHS to the highest bidder in America too.
Yeah.
So why continue to offer anything for nothing when we're trying to make money off of it as it stands?
Yeah. Godless Gummer is saying, should we talk about the Andrew formerly known as Prince?
Sure.
We're going to talk about him in a bit. But I mean, this is also, you're quite right. This is also about them stealthily. I mean, it's not even stealthily anymore. They're not even trying to hide the fact that it's parts of the NHS. So out in the open. Now the Conservatives have got an 80-seat majority. They're not even trying to hide the fact that that they want to privatize the NHS.
Well, somebody needs to get that $1 million a week that Brexit made available.
Yeah.
Isn't that what was on the bus?
Yeah. Yes. That so-called extra 350 million pounds a week that we were going to get from leaving the EU was supposedly going to go towards the NHS instead. But that's that has been proved to be a lie. And I always knew that it was going to be a lie because apart from anything else, that is not how budgets work.
Right.
You can't just, even if we were going to get 350 million pounds a week, freed up from leaving the EU, we're not. But even if we were, there's no way that the government was going to give all of that to the NHS, because there's other government departments, there's other departments that need funding as well. So it was never all going to go to the NHS. That was just a blatant lie. But people fell for it.
Yeah. Indiana, Pence country. It's been a good long while ago, because Pence hadn't even become governor yet. We started with a lottery that was ostensibly supposed to supplement the education fund for the state, which kind of happened for the first 3 or 4 years, and then Mike Pence got elected. And this is going to be one of those things that you may or may not, you may know a lot about it, or you may have never even heard of it, but there's a big push from the Christian right in the United States to take the money that we use for public education and have that money be split up per child, and then wherever that child decides they want to go to school, that's where the state's money goes. So if they want to go to a Catholic private school, the state pays that portion of their tuition to go to that school.
Yeah.
What a great idea. How could that go wrong? So meanwhile, we're bleeding our public schools dry. The buildings are crumbling. The teachers are leaving. And it's just a horrific situation. And still, the lottery money isn't going to the education fund. All right. Way to go. Yeah. Thank God we solved that fucking problem.
There you go. Jeff, a.k.a. Godless Gummer, is saying that's just what we need right now. More people panic ordering lateral flow kits because they're afraid they'll have to pay soon. The Royal Mail is already at breaking points trying to deliver them all, which is true.
Yeah.
It's a clusterfuck. That's what it is.
Has your mail been defunded like ours has?
I don't know enough about it, to be honest, but I think so. Probably they're defunding everything.
The guy that Trump appointed, actually, he decided there were too many sorting machines.
All right.
And didn't bother to sell them to a third world country or anything. They literally just threw them away. They didn't even sell them for scrap. They wanted to get them out of the buildings so quickly so that they couldn't be used that they just literally threw them in the garbage.
Right.
So that asset just fucking literal into the trash. and we've suffered because we don't have the fucking sorting machines, so everything takes longer than it used to. And we're going to raise prices because we have to buy new trucks. Well, of course you need to buy new trucks. I've been driving the same fucking ones for 35 years. The exact same fucking trucks. I just saw the first new one 2 days ago.
Oh, right.
They're hideous. But hey, for delivering mail, who gives a shit?
Oh, yeah. Godless Gummers, rightly says the Royal Mail was privatized in 2013. I'd forgotten that, actually.
I didn't realize that.
But no, yeah, but there you go. Our Royal Mail is, is privatized.
So are there like price controls on it?
I don't know.
Does the operator actually get to set their own rates?
You know what? I don't know anything about it, to be honest. Jeff might be able to say something about that in the chat, but no, I don't know. I don't know much about it. I don't know much about how it works.
Here we have the conservatives bitch because the post office loses money every year, but it's actual law that it can't outcompete private vendors. So it can't undercut like what FedEx is doing or what UPS is doing or what DHL is doing. They have to be competitive and not undercut their price. Even if they could do it for less money, they have to charge what those companies would charge. So the post office isn't stealing business away from private companies. Because free market and all that. Okay. But the post office, it's technically belongs to the government, but it's not a government office.
Right.
It's a private business owned by the government, I guess is how they've delineated it. It's an odd fucking situation, but basically they've made it impossible for it to make money on so many levels. One of them is that the post office is the only business in the United States that has to fully fund pensions 25 years in advance. And that was just to bleed their budget dry. And it worked. And fuck, that happened decades ago. Nobody's been able to fix it since.
Okay. Greg is saying that he's got to go. Yeah, thanks for dropping by, Greg.
Hey, Greg.
And Godless Sowen is back in the side chat. He's saying, so I'm back. And let's not forget that Prince Charles was best friends with Jimmy Savile. Do you know who Jimmy Savile was?
I do.
He's probably the most prolific. I don't think I can say the word without getting banned.
Yeah, I know the ones you have in mind, I think.
I think child botherer.
I was going to say children's entertainer.
Yeah, pretty much of all time.
Turns out to be the other way around, but whatever.
Yeah. Here's a story. When I was a kid, in the 80s, there was Jimmy Savile had a show called Jim Will Fix It.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody that I'm a fan of talked about having sent him a letter.
Yeah. But, kids would send him a letter. Jimmy, please, can you fix it for me to meet the Queen? Jimmy, can you fix it for me to go to Disneyland? Jimmy, can you fix it for me to I don't know, go on a roller, eat ice cream on a roller coaster or something, something like that. And I wrote him a letter. Yeah, dear Jimmy, please can you fix it for me to go up in a hot air balloon? That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go up in a hot air balloon, but at the time I was really disappointed that he didn't get back to me, and that I didn't get to go on Jim Will Fix It and go up in the hot air. But apparently this is where all the abuse was happening.
I was going to say, how grateful are you now? Lucky me. All I wanted to do as a kid was meet Maria from Sesame Street, and I did, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was her and a couple of other of the humans from Sesame Street were doing a tour, and they ended up in Fort Wayne, where I live, and I got to meet Maria. It was one of the great moments of my life, meeting my heartthrob, my first crush.
Nice, brilliant. And
I'm sure that made my dad thrilled to know that I had the hots for a Spanish chick.
But anyway, all this talk about Prince Charles and Jimmy Savile brings us nicely onto our next story. Godless Gummer was alluding to it earlier that the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, is in trouble. Have you been following this story?
I don't know about following it. I'm aware of it.
Yeah. So he was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein, yeah.
Yeah, and this lady who was 17 at the time. Oh, hang on. There's a. Godless Gummer saying, I imagine that the Jim Will Fix It badges have dropped considerably in value over the years.
Hang on to them. They'll come back.
Nerdy is with us, and he's making the same joke that Godless Gummer made earlier. The Andrew formerly known as Prince. But yeah, he the reason they're making that joke is because of these allegations, because he's lost his right to not appear in court. He's facing a civil action over sexual assault allegations. Claims that he is consistently denied.
Sure.
And because he's going to have to face these allegations in court.
He should blame it on the inbreeding and be done with it.
but the Queen has taken away his Royal Highness title. He's not allowed to use the title of His Royal Highness anymore.
I can't be the only one that finds that ironic.
And he's going to stop using His Royal Highness in an official capacity, and he's going to face civil action, over the allegations, and he'll continue to defend himself against the case brought in New York by Virginia Giuffre. Apparently they met when she was only 17 at one of these. How can I put this?
Introduction parties.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, keeps the whole sex trafficking word out of
it. When she was just 17, and he denies ever meeting her.
Oh, that's a brilliant defense.
Even though there's a photograph of them arm in arm.
Yeah.
With
it's probably in a Polaroid too.
Yeah. But apparently, something that she has said was at the time he was sweating profusely
because of the cocaine.
Yeah, but his defense is that at the time he was unable to sweat.
Jesus Christ, man! It's not even a thing.
Because
the only time that happens is when you're dehydrated.
But apparently this is a condition he picked up, caused by the surge of adrenaline when he was serving in the Falklands.
What the fuck? Oh my God! Oh, the harrowing days of the Falklands. Is he flying a jump jet or something? Is that how he got stressed out?
I think he was on the ground.
So he took almost no fire then.
No, but
not a lot of ground battles going on in that war, as I recall. For a couple, but
it's and apparently when he supposedly met this girl. Who now a fully grown woman, of course, who's making these allegations. He was at a Pizza Express celebrating his son's birthday party or something. But
why the fuck would he have been at a Pizza Express? No offense. Are you familiar with the brand?
Yeah.
It's not exactly someplace someone like him would take his kid for their birthday.
Yeah.
Generally, they're filled with drunks, even during the day.
But godless gummers. Then Prince Andrew is unable to sweat. He seems to forget that he's part of the British royal family and not North Korea's Kim dynasty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He played 18 holes and he shot a 19. That's how we know he's not a Kim.
But these are such obvious lies. They can easily be checked out. And no one has come forward to. Funnily enough, no one has come forward to
corroborate
to corroborate these stories.
Weird.
The thing, he said all these. He made all these wild claims in an interview on BBC Newsnight. When he was asked about these allegations. But thing is, all he had to do, in my opinion, was say, yes, she was at the party and I posed with her for a photograph, but that's all. That's all he had to say.
Yeah, it's still probably an obvious lie, but definitely way better than I was unable to sweat, so she's lying.
Yeah. It's still an obvious lie, but it's a much better lie than than the bullshit that he came out with.
It's as if he's aware that there's probably more evidence than that, just that picture.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's trying to suggest that she has misidentified him.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't said that he doesn't believe that her claim. He just said that it wasn't me. I couldn't sweat.
Yeah.
It's just utterly retarded, man. That's special kind of stupid. There's that fucking inbreeding rearing its ugly head again.
But why he agreed to do the interview? Yeah, just from a PR perspective, it's ludicrous.
Well, the thing about the lies is that there are obviously enough people that if they want to, will believe absolutely anything someone says.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that pissed me off most about Trump being president, aside from his politics and myriad other things about him personally, was that it was an insult to my intelligence to have a president that was that dumb, who thought he was getting away with lying to people that he knows are more intelligent than he is. And I'm not trying to suggest that I'm 170 fucking IQ or anything. I just know I'm smarter than he is. Because I'm a little bit of a sociopath, but he's a lot of a sociopath. So I know his tendencies. I can read them. I know where they come from. I know why he does what he does. His ego is so fucking fragile that he can't let go of anything that might cause him any embarrassment.
Yeah.
Which is why the P-tape thing he reacted to that so much more crazed than almost anything else said about him, because one, he's a germaphobe. So it's probably not true, but because it was an embarrassing thing, he had to get on top of that one. Not that he was in a room with two hookers. It was that they got peed on. That was the problem. It wasn't the hookers. Because I'm quite certain those were some fine looking hookers. And nobody has said that he wasn't with the fucking hookers, but nobody seems to care about that. All they want to say is that the P-tape doesn't exist. That may be true, but the man fucked a couple of really hot Russian fucking hookers that night, and you're fine with it. And most of those people are fucking evangelical Christians that think he's God, which is really weird, because I just said they're evangelical Christians, but treat him like Jesus.
Yeah. And they've woven him into their theology now.
Oh, he's more important in the eyes of a lot of them. If you watch enough fucking YouTube ministers.
Yeah. He's pretty much level with Christ himself.
Yeah. It's all he needs is the walking on water story. And I mean, he's obviously already the other son of God.
Yeah.
Which is really weird if you know anything about his fucking dad. Fucking Nazi.
But yeah, Andrew, I don't even know if we can call him Prince Andrew anymore, since he doesn't have the Royal Highness.
I don't think there's a legal penalty for saying it, but I think you're right. I don't think it's that he gets to call himself that.
But anyway, he's in trouble. One
would hope so anyway.
Yeah.
He ought to be.
Now that Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. She, more of this shit is going to come. It's going to come out. She's. I don't know.
Well, here's my question about her: is that I don't know what her family situation is. Like, I don't know if she would die in prison to keep secrets to keep her family in the stature that they're in. I don't know anything about her family, but that is a potential thing, because we're definitely talking about people with fuck you money that would wipe out everything that her family ever owned if it came to that. I mean, I knew one guy that with fuck you money, and I know the story about the business partner that tried to fuck him and how miserable that guy's life was before he committed suicide. Don't fuck with people with fuck you money personally. There are ways to fuck with them, but you don't do it yourself.
Right.
And so I don't think that she would literally stick her neck out, because I don't know what she's got to protect. I know she doesn't have kids, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have brothers and sisters and shit that have money that might like to keep some of it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Godless Gummer is saying that I think it's Andrew, Duke of York, a bit like Diana, Princess of Wales, after she divorced Charles. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess.
But
so much better if he was the Duke of Earl.
Yeah.
Just for the song alone. It's a great song. Speaking of great songs, I heard Ringo Starr's No, 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 No this morning on the radio. I'm quite certain I hadn't heard that since the 80s.
Oh, right. I'm not familiar with that one.
No, 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 I can't take it no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor. No, thank you, please. It only makes me sneeze. And then it makes it hard to find the door. It's a song about drugs that he's supposedly given up. It starts with he met a woman from Colombia, and she had a big bag of marijuana. You know, it was written. You know, the song was written before the metric system became a thing in the UK, because the second line is a woman from Spain who had a 10-pound bag of marijuana. Who sells pot by the pound? That shit goes by the kilo all over the world.
Yeah.
It's drug culture. People involved in drug culture in the United States are better with the metric system than virtually anyone else.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've talked enough about the Andrew, formerly known as Prince. I think we can move on to a part of the show I like to call Labour Woes.
Who was that? Was that the...
That was Keir Starmer.
Gotcha.
Oh, before we move on.
Got kind of an unfortunate mole on his cheek, didn't
he? Yeah. The grand old Duke of York, he had 10,000 friends, but one of them was a blank, so he had no friends again. But Labour potentially are in trouble because, hang on, let me just bring up the story.
Well, so are the Democrats. The downside of electing an old white man who with some fairly conservative ideas.
Yeah.
Not going to make him get reelected, I'm afraid.
No. But Jeremy Corbyn, the former leader of the Labour Party, he's still an MP, but he had the whip taken away from him, which basically means he can't speak or act for the Labour Party anymore. So he basically has to stand as an independent in the next general election. And
I didn't realize that.
No, this is happening.
So they took away his balls, and now he can't play on the team anymore.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But the thing is he's very popular. He's still very popular, he's especially popular in his constituency. And I think ITV tried to do a hatchet job on him recently. They were in his constituency interviewing some of his constituents, people on the street, and trying to find someone to say something negative about him. And one person said, "Look, this is Corbyn town. You're not going to find anyone who's going to say anything negative about Jeremy Corbyn here. We love him.
Yeah.
He has served this community well for decades. We love Jeremy here. You're not going to find, no one's going to say anything negative about him."
He's kind of a Bernie Sanders type.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
With
He's got,
more huge public flailings than Bernie, but same kind of personality.
yeah, and
Wants to do
he
the right thing, just keeps not quite hitting it hard enough.
yeah, yeah, and he's had the same allegations of anti-Semitism levied
Right.
against him that Bernie has had.
Which is hilarious about Bernie.
Yeah, and but anyway, it's because I think I can't remember exactly what Jeremy Corbyn said, but I think he said something along the lines of um, the allegations of anti-Semitism levied against the Labour Party were exaggerated, and he was asked to apologise for saying, for tweeting that, and he wouldn't, and so he got suspended.
Well,
But then
that's looking
he
for something. That's that's a moronic fucking thing to hold against the man.
yeah, and
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't allowed to have fucking opinions anymore.
yeah. Well, yeah, but
Wasn't speaking on behalf of anyone except myself. It was an opinion.
yeah, but it's a dangerous opinion to have in Keir Starmer's Labour Party.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Keir Starmer, basically, his policy, his one policy is basically, I'm not Jeremy, and he basically wants to put as much distance between him and Jeremy Corbyn as possible, in an attempt to make Labour electable again.
Okay, what is the origin of his first name?
Keir.
You know? Yeah.
Keir. Actually,
I've never heard that name before. Definitely never seen it.
He was named after the founder of the Labour Party.
Really?
Yeah, he was called Keir Hardie. Oh, hang on, we've got some more wisdom from Godless Gummerhead. One of the reasons Labour haven't made much progress is that Starmer has spent more time trying to purge Corbyn supporters than oppose the Tories. And he goes on to say, yes, anti-Semitism must have been rampant in the Labour Party for years, considering Ed Miliband was the leader before Corbyn.
Yeah, that's another name I'm familiar with.
Ed Miliband being Jewish. And
and Bernie Sanders being Jewish.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders had the temerity to say that he didn't agree with the Israeli government, which apparently it's weird. It's weird that Jews in Israel can do that all they want, but Jews outside of Israel apparently cannot.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same here in this country as well. Anyone who dares to criticize the Israeli government is anti-Semitic.
Oh yeah, no, I've got a friend of mine who's he and his brother are both attorneys in Chicago. They're both Jewish and very good friends, and have never, well, not since we were in college in the end of the 80s and we graduated in 91, 92 respectively. Since then, he has never really been a big supporter of Israeli politics because it's gone way further right than the United States has.
Yeah.
And now it's teetering on this kind of Russian leadership thing where the person that's not supposed to be in charge is still in charge.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They got this kind of backwards. Netanyahu is just a little more powerful than I think a democracy should consider someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think most of his country sees him that way, but there's enough people with enough power that see him that way that he gets treated that way.
Yeah.
That and he's apparently, at least potentially, a felon.
Yeah, there's that as well. Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Right, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. But so that's the backdrop to this story. Because Jeremy Corbyn, it's looking like he's going to have to because he doesn't have the whip anymore. He can't represent the Labour Party basically, so he's going to have to stand as an independent in the next general election. And apparently, according to this article here, he could start his own political party.
Well, it sounds like, based upon what you said about Corbyn country, that he could do it as an independent if he could manage whatever he needed to outside of just the popularity.
Yeah, I'm certain that if he was to just stand as an independent, he would win.
Right.
But apparently, people close to him are advising him to start his own political party. The problem I have with that
pulls votes.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Because of the way our voting system works in the UK,
ours is worse than yours.
Yeah. Here is the first past the post system, which means, as I'm sure you're aware, that the party who gets the most votes wins. But the problem with that is if you've got the Conservative, the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, the Green Party, the Green Party, the Liberal Democrats, and the Labour Party, though they could get more votes than the Conservative Party, but the Conservative Party will win.
Yeah,
because the anti-Tory vote is split into three.
Right.
So the first past the post system worked perfectly when it's just the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, but now we've got multiple parties now. So if another left-leaning political party is formed, it's going to take more votes away from the Labour Party. And
ours is set up differently, but with the same problem.
Yeah.
Our biggest issue is money in politics. The second biggest issue is our cling to the college. Jesus Christ, I'm going to fuck it up. We cast votes according to the Electoral College, which is where every state gets a number of electoral votes based on population, and the winner of the presidential election needs to collect 170, I think, to get elected. And most states, if there are, just for the ease of math, if there are 500 people that live in the state and 251 of them vote for one guy, all 500 of their votes go to that guy.
Yeah.
Which is just as fucked up as your system.
Yes.
But in the United States, it's a little bit worse, because the value of each vote varies from one state to another. Where in the state of Montana, huge state, like 15 people, but they have 2 senators, because every state has 2 senators, and they have 1 member of the House of Representatives, because every state has at least 1. Well, there are 15 people that live there, and then in California, they have 2 senators, because every state has 2, and they have, I think, 13, 14 members of the House. But the member of the House from Montana represents 15 people, and the members of the House from California represent 750,000. So the power of each person's vote varies so much from one state to the next, because of this fucking antiquated system that we continue to use for no reason. Except that Republicans fucking love it, because it keeps allowing them a chance to put somebody in the White House, because their ideas are bad. They can't sell them, so they steal it.
Yeah.
Which makes the whole claim that Democrats stole the election so fucking ironic.
Yes. Yeah.
It continue to make it more and more difficult for people to vote, and then claim after you lost, even after doing all that horse shit, that it had to have been something nefarious that the other half did that you just haven't figured out yet, because they're so damn crafty. but they couldn't beat fucking Trump with the woman.
Yeah.
It's weird how they sometimes they have an immense amount of power and can do anything, but most of the time pretty inept and powerless.
Yeah. Godless Cover says, unfortunately, if there's one thing that you can count on with the British left is that there's almost as many socialist parties as there are socialists in Britain. And that's there's certainly an element of truth to that.
That's very well put. Big fan.
Yeah. It's the left are too busy fighting amongst themselves to effectively fight the conservatives, and this is my concern, that if Jeremy Corbyn does start his own political party, it will split the vote even more, and we'll have the Tories in power indefinitely, and they'll.
It's funny that the Democrats that don't end up making it to the election, the presidential election, tend to be people who are very popular because they would like to remove the money from fucking politics.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is one of them, and I can't think of the woman's name. Warren.
Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, who is fucking brilliant. I'd vote for her in a heartbeat. I don't care what party she's a member of, just because she's fucking brilliant. Mm. If there's an economist that knows more about the economy than her, I'd love to know who that is. And people shit on her because she's a woman. Well, not people, but enough to keep her from getting elected. And she's no fan of Miss Clinton, so they're not inclined to do her any favors. And Bernie Sanders was an independent running as a Democrat, so he wasn't going to fucking get it.
No. But
those are the two most popular, and somehow Biden ends up winning all these fucking primaries. You want to talk about shit that got stolen? Let's talk about that bullshit.
Yeah.
And in this country, I made this comment the other day, and a friend of mine from the UK was just shocked. When we file our income taxes, there's a box that you have to check yes or no, or your taxes are incomplete and you have to refile. It's, would you like to make a donation to a political party? And there are two choices.
Yeah.
We have more than two political parties, but on our tax forms, you can choose between those two or say no, but you have to choose one of those three answers. There's no yes, but none of the above, So our country we are set up from beginning to end for two fucking parties to survive however the fuck they see fit. And there are huge differences, but they're pretty fucking similar.
Yeah.
There are the Republicans are more likely to just overtly steal and claim that they're not. We're going to call it a tax incentive, or we're going to call it a tax break, but basically they're just stealing money. And they've got enough people convinced that we shouldn't be doing anything to help the poor, So they're going to vote for the Republicans, regardless of whatever else the Democrats have to say that they would be willing to do that they agree with. They have this problem with the poor, and that's usually because they're of color, so they have a problem with it. Or they're so hid far up their ass that they don't realize that the welfare check that they're getting comes from the same fucking government they're pissing about. It's like there was a sign at a Trump rally that said, keep the government hands off my welfare. What? What hand do you think that fucking shit comes from?
Yeah.
You want to smoke? If I weren't so weak from hunger,
Godless Gummer saying his favorite socialist party in Great Britain was the Revolutionary New Communist Party of Great Britain, Marxist-Leninist, or RNCPGBML. I guarantee that party had more initials than members.
Yeah, I feel like you might be right. Yeah, there's way too many Russian names in that for that to be a party in the United States.
Yes.
I mean, for the most part, nobody in this country knows. Well, I can't say nobody. About 2/3 of the people in this country don't know what socialism is.
Yeah.
And for about half the country, the word scares the shit out of them because they don't know there's a difference between socialism and communism. And while I don't necessarily want to be a socialist either, I've got a lot more socialist tendencies than I do any other. We are headed for a choice of 2 fucking airlines, 2 cable services, 2 communications companies that own every fucking network or media source, and everybody's going to be fine with it because that's what capitalism allowed to have happen. That was the market forces.
Yeah.
We used to fight against monopolies, and now when somebody says monopoly, they're talking about Twitter shutting somebody down for saying outrageous shit. No, motherfucker, that's not the same shit.
Yes. Yeah. But what have we got next? Liz Truss.
I don't know that name at all either. Man, I gotta be writing this shit down. Now that we know I'm going to be a part of it, you can just send me some of these names and I can look up some shit.
Let me share this article.
Please.
Right. So yeah, Liz Truss. She's a conservative minister.
She looks very British.
Yes. Yeah. And she's the new foreign secretary. And she's been put in charge of post-Brexit negotiations as well. And she basically since we left the EU, there's been this problem with the Northern Ireland Protocol.
Right.
They can't, the Conservatives, they can't pinpoint exactly what the problem is. But there's a problem with it.
I would like to offer suggestions. There's been this weird stress at that border. Maybe you're not familiar with it.
But basically, Northern Ireland are still part of the single market. That was part of the withdrawal agreement.
Right.
So that there wouldn't have to be a hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, and between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. And Boris Johnson was promising before Brexit, he was promising that there'll be no checks on goods going in between Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, I remember that.
And of course, everyone else was saying there will be checks. That because of the nature of the agreement.
Yeah, there have to be.
There will be checks on goods going in between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. There will be. No. If there's any paperwork, just send it to me and I'll tear it up. I won't allow any checks on any goods going in between. Going from GB to NI or from NI to GB, and of course it was bollocks.
Right, because whose autonomy is lost at that point?
But the reason this protocol was put in place was to protect the peace, the Good Friday peace agreements. Nerdy is saying we can't have part of the UK doing well because they're not suffering from the extreme Tory Brexit. But
in theory,
lo and behold, there are checks, goods going, in between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the Conservatives don't like this. So they're saying, well, the EU are playing hardball.
Oh, golly.
No, they're not. They're just keeping their end of the deal.
They're doing what they said they were always going to do.
It's our government that are refusing to implement their side of the deal. But it's the EU who are in the wrong. It's the EU who are bullying us.
But it's not about the economy. It's about the banking laws. I mean, wasn't that really the reason for Brexit all along?
Yeah.
I mean, not the real reason, but the actual reason.
Godless Cover saying, why do I get the feeling that putting Liz Truss in charge of negotiating with foreign nations is going to end up with France and Spain having sovereignty over the southern counties? He could be onto something, I think.
What was the British island that was occupied by the Nazis during World War II?
Oh.
Okay, how can I know that and you not?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was it Guernsey? I don't know. I think.
Now I'm not going to. Now I wouldn't recognize it if you said it. But what you can't. What we can say is that island is gone. They're going to be speaking French. There's just no ways about it.
The main reason for Brexit was an incredible amount of xenophobia.
I think that was the reason it got. I think that's the reason it got voted. But I'm pretty sure that it was the banking laws that the uber wealthy wanted to change, because there were things that they couldn't do that they wanted to, and the only way around that was to leave the EU.
All right. There's the Channel Islands.
Gotcha.
Was saying, yeah. All of the Channel Islands were occupied.
That is also something I learned because of Time Team. I'm not going to act like that's not where it came from.
But basically, since we Brexited, first of all, Boris Johnson threatened to trigger this thing called Article 16.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is.
Basically,
is that the hard Brexit?
No. Basically, what it is, if we triggering Article 16 doesn't fix anything. All it does, it temporarily suspends the protocol, the Northern Ireland Protocol. So temporarily. There won't be checks on goods, and negotiations can be reopened.
Well, that's got to affect more than one thing, though, right?
Yeah. And they first of all, Boris threatened to trigger Article 16, but then never did.
What is that threat supposed to accomplish?
Well, the EU are supposed to be the ones who blink first.
Why?
but even though they've got no reason to blink.
Yeah, first. I don't understand that fucking math at all.
But and then
Lord who in the Netherlands is going to give a shit?
Exactly. And then Lord Frost said, started threatening to trigger Article 16, but then he never did.
That's why I know it sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Like that's championship stupid. You don't have to know much about how the world works to know how dumb that is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot off my own dick because I'm so mad at you. Fuck you! Bang! The movie Animal House. Are you familiar with Animal House?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
You absolutely should see it. It is one of the funniest American movies ever made. There's a moment where Eddie Belushi stands up, and or it wasn't him. It was somebody else in the house. Anyways, it's about a fraternity, and some shit's going down, and one guy stands up and he says, "What this requires is an absolutely futile effort on somebody's part." Yep, you got it, mister. That's exactly what this is. We're gonna cut off a testicle to show you how mad we are, and you are gonna flinch when we do it.
Nerdy is saying Article 16 is not intended to allow either party to suspend provisions of the protocol permanently or in their entirety. Which
that's a relief.
What I was trying in the clumsy roundabout way to get to. Godless Dumber says Animal House is amazing.
It really is one of the funniest movies ever made in America.
If I get an opportunity to watch it, I will. But yeah, so now Liz Truss has taken over from Lord Frost. Now she's threatening to trigger Article 16. When are they going to get the message that the EU are not going to blink? They're not going to blink, because why should they? They're
actually, by doing that, you're begging them to intervene at a border that doesn't really affect any other part of Europe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this and then expect you to act on my behalf to fix what I just did.
Yeah. But basically, the Conservatives, they're complaining about the oven-ready deal that they signed and said, said that it was a great deal. It's oven-ready, it's good to go. But now, ever since it's been put in place, they've done nothing but complain about it.
Well, that sounds a little bit like the vaccine and the right in this country, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, you think, how weird would it be? I mean, Trump got booed for telling a crowd that he had been vaccinated and he recommends it. He got booed by his own fucking crowd for saying that. How weird would it be if he was president right now? Not only would the economy be continuing to suck, and being continued to made worse. It's not like there was any way that we were going to come out of the pandemic and the whole world's economy was just going to be fine, except for the countries that didn't do stupid shit like Germany and a couple others. Everybody's economy was obviously going to suffer, and inflation was obviously going to happen. Here it started with used car market, of all things.
Right. Okay.
But now it's gone on to virtually everything. It's housing's up 17%, but the used car market is up 37% over last year, and it was up 15% last year.
Right.
Whoa. Obviously, this is Biden's fault. Well, no, motherfuckers, it isn't.
Godless Cover says threatening to trigger Article 16 is Britain's equivalent of bringing a pea shooter to a gunfight.
Don't make me use this.
Anyway, we've come to the end of the show.
I'm sorry I missed so much of it.
No, it's fine. I really appreciate you coming along, agreeing to be my co-host. I work better if I have someone to bounce off.
I do too. I can't. It's part of why I don't do videos. There are other reasons. One of them is that I can't stomach watching the material that I need to go through to find something interesting enough to make a video about. Yeah. But I'm just not all that great working by myself, and I that's part of the reason I made response videos, because I needed something to I wasn't just going to be able to come up with something myself that was entertaining. I had to rely upon stupid people. Luckily, there's a lot of them about.
Yes. And on that bombshell,
ladies and gentlemen,
I will say good night. Or is it evening where you are?
It's good evening here, yeah. Sure.
Good evening. And thank you for coming along. And
I had a great time. This is good fun.
Yeah, thanks to everyone in the chat.
Yes, absolutely.
And everyone watching, on on either YouTube or Twitter. And do join us next week. We on the sofas every Thursday, 10 p.m. British time. And and also we have Shooting the Shit every Wednesday at 10 p.m. So you're welcome to come along to to join us for that as well.
I'm obviously full of shit. I think we all know this about me.
And and if you're watching in the future, after the event, as it were, thanks for making it, thanks for making it this far. And if you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you're always notified when a new live stream is about to happen. Okay, bye for now.
Bye, everybody.